The sun blazed over Naval Amphibious Base Coronado as Staff Sergeant Maria Rodriguez stepped off the transport vehicle, her combat boots hitting the hot asphalt with determination. At 26, she had already proven herself in 2 combat deployments, but nothing had prepared her for the wall of skeptical stares that greeted her arrival at the SEAL training facility. The whispers started immediately. She could hear them, even though the men thought they were being subtle. "What's she doing here?" "This isn't a place for women. She'll wash out in a week." Maria kept her expression neutral, her dark eyes scanning the compound that would become her temporary home, while she served as a combat medic liaison for the elite SEAL teams. Commander James Harrison, a weathered veteran with silver hair and crow's feet earned from years squinting into desert sun, approached her with measured steps. "Rodriguez," he said, extending a firm handshake. "Welcome to Team 7. I hope you're ready for this." Maria's grip was equally firm. "Sir, I've been ready my entire career." What Maria didn't know was that her reputation had preceded her. The story of how she had saved 8 Marines during an ambush in Afghanistan, dragging wounded soldiers to safety while under heavy fire, had reached the base weeks before her arrival. But not everyone was impressed by her record. Petty Officer First Class Derek Matthews stood nearby, his muscular frame casting a shadow as he cleaned his rifle with unnecessary aggression. At 32, Matthews had been with the SEALs for 8 years and had strong opinions about women in combat roles. His ice blue eyes followed Maria's every move, looking for signs of weakness. "Let's see how long the princess lasts," Matthews muttered to his teammate, Petty Officer Second Class Tony Russo. Russo, a shorter man with kind eyes, shifted uncomfortably but said nothing. He had heard the stories about Maria's heroism, but Matthews was his squad leader. The first few days passed without major incident. Maria threw herself into her work, familiarizing herself with the team's medical protocols and emergency procedures. She attended briefings, studied tactical manuals, and made mental notes about each team member's personality and capabilities. Her job was to ensure these elite warriors stayed alive during their most dangerous missions. During training exercises, Maria proved herself repeatedly. When Petty Officer Jake Coleman twisted his ankle during a beach run, she was there instantly, applying field dressings and pain management techniques with expert precision. When Sergeant Mike Torres suffered a training injury that required immediate attention, Maria's quick thinking prevented what could have been a career-ending wound. But Matthews remained unconvinced. He watched her with the intensity of a predator studying prey, waiting for her to make a mistake that would justify his prejudices. During weapons training, he stood close enough to make her uncomfortable. During mealtimes, he made pointed comments about women being distractions in combat situations. The breaking point came on a Thursday afternoon during combat simulation training. The team was practicing close-quarters battle scenarios in the Kill House, a specially designed building where they honed their room-clearing techniques. Maria was positioned as medical support, ready to treat simulated casualties during the exercise. The scenario involved rescuing hostages from a terrorist stronghold. Maria's job was to stay back with the command post until medical assistance was needed, then move quickly to treat wounded team members. She wore full combat gear, including helmet, body armor, and carried a fully stocked medical kit. 20 minutes into the exercise, the call came. "Medic! We have 2 down in room 3! Maria sprinted toward the building, her equipment bouncing against her back as she moved with practiced efficiency. She had done this hundreds of times in real combat situations. As she rounded the corner toward room 3, Matthews emerged from a doorway she hadn't expected him to be in. This wasn't part of the planned exercise route. His face was flushed with exertion and something else, frustration that had been building for weeks. "What are you doing here?" he demanded, blocking her path. "This is SEAL territory." Maria tried to step around him. "I'm responding to a medical call. 2 team members need immediate attention." Matthews moved to block her again. Maybe they don't want help from someone who doesn't belong here. The words hung in the air like a challenge. Other team members had begun to notice the confrontation. The exercise coordinator's voice crackled over the radio, asking for status updates on the medical response. Maria's training kicked in. She had faced hostile situations before, but this was different. This was supposed to be her team, her unit. The betrayal stung more than she expected, but she pushed the emotion down. Lives were at stake, even in training. "Petty Officer Matthews," she said firmly, "I need you to step aside so I can do my job." Matthews's jaw tightened. His hands clenched into fists at his sides. "Your job? Your job is to stay out of the way and let real warriors handle real problems." The radio crackled again. "Medical team, what's your status? We need immediate response in room 3. Maria tried once more to move past Matthews, but he shifted his weight, preparing for something that would change everything. His right leg tensed, his body language becoming aggressive in a way that transcended training exercise boundaries. Several team members had stopped their own activities to watch the confrontation unfold. Russo appeared in a doorway, his face showing concern. Commander Harrison's voice could be heard in the distance, asking for status reports from all units. The tension reached a breaking point. Matthews had made his decision, and Maria could see it in his eyes. This wasn't about training anymore. This wasn't about following protocol or maintaining unit cohesion. This had become personal, and Matthews was about to cross a line that would have consequences for everyone involved. The desert heat seemed to intensify as the two combatants faced each other, representing not just their individual beliefs, but a larger conflict about women in special operations that was playing out across military bases worldwide. What happened next would become legend at Naval Amphibious Base Coronado, a story that would be told and retold for years to come. Maria's hand instinctively moved toward her medical kit, not for a weapon, but for the tools that defined her purpose, to heal, to save lives, to prove that her presence made the team stronger, not weaker. She had no idea that Matthews was about to test that resolve in a way that would shock everyone who witnessed it. The exercise was about to become very real, and the outcome would determine not just Maria's future with the team, but the future of integration policies throughout the naval special warfare community. Matthews drew his leg back, his intention clear to everyone watching. The kick was aimed at Maria's midsection, designed to knock her backward and establish his dominance once and for all. But Maria Rodriguez had not survived 2 combat deployments by being caught off guard. Years of hand-to-hand combat training kicked in automatically. As Matthews's boot came toward her, Maria shifted her weight to the left, grabbed his extended leg with both hands, and used his own momentum against him. The physics were simple but devastating. Matthews found himself airborne for a split second before crashing hard onto the concrete floor of the training facility. The sound echoed through the kill house like a gunshot. Matthews hit the ground with a grunt, his helmet clattering across the floor as he struggled to catch his breath. Maria stood over him, her medical kit still strapped to her back, her expression calm despite what had just happened. "Are you injured?" she asked, immediately switching back to medical mode despite the circumstances. It was the question that would be repeated in official reports, witness statements, and informal conversations for months to come. Even after being attacked, her first instinct was to offer medical assistance. Russo was the first to speak. "Holy... Maria, are you okay?" He stepped forward, his loyalty to Matthews warring with his sense of right and wrong. What he had witnessed wasn't training or friendly competition. It was an unprovoked assault on a fellow service member. Other team members began emerging from their positions throughout the building. The exercise had effectively ended the moment Matthews decided to attack Maria, though nobody had officially called it off yet. Petty Officer Coleman appeared in the doorway, his face showing shock at the scene before him. Matthews struggled to his feet, his face red with embarrassment and rage. You attacked a superior officer, he sputtered, though everyone present knew exactly who had initiated the physical confrontation. Maria remained calm, her voice steady. I defended myself against an unprovoked assault, petty officer. There's a difference. The radio crackled with increasing urgency. All units report status immediately. We have reports of an incident in the kill house. Commander Harrison's voice carried the authority of someone who knew something had gone seriously wrong. This isn't over, Matthews growled, wiping blood from his nose where he had hit the concrete. You don't belong here, and everyone knows it. Maria picked up his helmet and held it out to him. Petty Officer Matthews, I suggest you seek medical attention. You may have a concussion from your fall. The gesture was professional, courteous, and completely disarming. It also highlighted the absurdity of Matthews' behavior to everyone present. Here was a combat medic, attacked while responding to a medical emergency during training, offering to treat the injuries of her attacker. Sergeant Torres appeared around the corner, having heard the commotion. What happened here? His eyes took in the scene quickly. Matthews disheveled and bleeding, Maria standing calmly with his helmet in her hand, other team members looking uncomfortable and uncertain. Training accident, Maria said simply. Petty Officer Matthews took a fall during the exercise. It was a diplomatic answer that gave Matthews a way to save face, while making it clear to everyone that she wasn't going to escalate the situation unnecessarily. But Matthews wasn't interested in diplomacy. Training accident, he exploded. She attacked me. I was just trying to maintain proper protocol, and she assaulted me. Russo stepped forward then, his conscience winning out over unit loyalty. Derek, that's not what happened. You tried to kick her and she defended herself. I saw the whole thing. The words hung in the air like an accusation. Other team members began nodding, confirming Russo's account. Coleman cleared his throat uncomfortably. Yeah, Matthews initiated contact. Maria was just trying to get to the medical call. Matthews looked around at his teammates, realizing that his version of events wasn't going to be supported by the witnesses. His face grew even redder, and for a moment, it looked like he might try to attack Maria again. Stand down, all of you! Commander Harrison's voice boomed through the building as he arrived on scene. The silver-haired veteran took in the situation with the practiced eye of someone who had been dealing with military personnel conflicts for over 2 decades. Sir, Maria said, snapping to attention. We had a minor incident during the exercise. I was responding to a medical call when Petty Officer Matthews and I had a miscommunication that resulted in his injury. I was just about to treat his wounds and file an incident report. Harrison studied the faces around him. He could read the tension in the room. The way the other team members avoided making eye contact with Matthews. The way Maria stood at attention with professional composure, despite having been in a physical altercation moments before. Matthews, Harrison said, report to medical immediately. Get that nose looked at. He turned to Maria. Rodriguez, I want you in my office in 30 minutes for a full debrief. Matthews opened his mouth to protest, but Harrison's glare silenced him. All of you clear the kill house. Exercise is terminated. I want written statements from everyone who witnessed this incident on my desk by 1800 hours. As the team began to disperse, Russo approached Maria. Hey, he said quietly. I'm sorry about what happened. Matthews was out of line. Maria nodded appreciatively. Thank you for speaking up. That took courage. Coleman joined them as they walked toward the exit. You handled that really well. I probably would have lost my temper. Losing your temper gets people killed in combat, Maria replied. Besides, he's injured. As a medic, my job is to treat injuries, not cause them. Torres fell into step beside them. You know this isn't over, right? Matthews has friends on the base. He's not going to let this go. Maria stopped walking and turned to face the 3 men. Look, I didn't come here to cause trouble. I came here to do my job and support this team. If some people have a problem with that, I can't control their attitudes. But I won't be intimidated, and I won't back down from doing what's right." Her words carried the conviction of someone who had faced enemy fire and lived to tell about it. These men recognized that quality because they possessed it themselves. The respect that had been growing slowly over the past weeks crystallized in that moment. "We've got your back," Coleman said simply. The others nodded in agreement. As they reached the parking area outside the kill house, Maria noticed other personnel stopping their activities to watch her pass. Word of the incident was already spreading across the base with the speed that only military gossip could achieve. Some faces showed curiosity, others showed concern, and a few showed obvious disapproval. Maria realized that what had happened in the kill house was about to become much bigger than a simple training incident. Matthews had forced a confrontation that would now require official investigation, witness statements, and potentially disciplinary action. The story would spread beyond the base, possibly reaching senior command levels and maybe even civilian oversight. She thought about her family back home in Texas, about her younger sister who was considering joining the military, about all the women who would follow in her footsteps. The pressure to be perfect was enormous. But she had never asked for perfection, just the opportunity to serve alongside the best warriors in the world. As she walked toward the administrative building to prepare for her meeting with Commander Harrison, Maria reflected on how a single moment of violence had revealed the true character of everyone involved. Matthews had shown his true colors, but so had Russo, Coleman, and Torres. The incident would force the entire team to choose sides, not necessarily between Maria and Matthews, but between professionalism and prejudice, between judgment based on ability and judgment based on gender. The real test was just beginning, and Maria knew that how she handled the next few hours would determine not just her own future, but potentially the future of women in special operations throughout the Navy. Commander Harrison's office felt smaller than usual as Maria sat across from his desk, her hands folded neatly in her lap. The walls were covered with commendations, photographs from various deployments, and a large Navy flag that had seen better days. Harrison studied the incident reports spread before him, occasionally glancing up at Maria with an expression she couldn't read. 5 witnesses, Harrison said finally, all telling the same story. Matthews initiated physical contact. You defended yourself using minimal necessary force and then offered him medical assistance. He leaned back in his chair. In 30 years of military service, I've never seen anything quite like it. Maria remained silent, waiting for him to continue. She had learned long ago that sometimes the best response was no response at all. The thing is, Harrison continued, this incident has attracted attention from people way above my pay grade. Naval Special Warfare Command wants a full investigation. There are reporters asking questions, and Matthews has filed a formal complaint alleging assault. Maria's stomach tightened, but her expression remained calm. Sir, I understand the seriousness of the situation. I'm prepared to face whatever consequences are appropriate. Harrison smiled for the first time since she had entered his office. Rodriguez, I don't think you understand. You're not the one facing consequences here. Before Maria could respond, there was a knock on the door. Enter, Harrison called out. Captain Sarah Mitchell, the base's senior medical officer, stepped into the room, followed by a man in civilian clothes whom Maria didn't recognize. Captain Mitchell was a legend in military medical circles, a surgeon who had saved countless lives during the Iraq War and had been instrumental in developing new combat medical protocols. Staff Sergeant Rodriguez, Captain Mitchell said warmly, I've been looking forward to meeting you. Your work in Afghanistan has been the subject of several medical journals. The civilian extended his hand. I'm David Chen from the Department of Defense Inspector General's office. I'm here to investigate the incident, but also to discuss some broader policy implications." Maria shook both hands, confused about why a DoD investigator would be interested in what seemed like a routine training incident. "Sir, I'm not sure I understand," Chen smiled. "Staff Sergeant, your response to Petty Officer Matthews' attack has been viewed by senior leadership as a perfect example of how integrated teams should function. You maintained professionalism under pressure, used appropriate defensive force, and immediately returned to your medical duties. It's exactly the kind of behavior we want to see as we expand opportunities for women in special operations." Harrison nodded. "What Mr. Chen is saying, Rodriguez, is that you've become something of a poster child for integration policy. The question now is whether you want that responsibility." Maria felt overwhelmed. She had never sought attention or recognition. She just wanted to do her job and serve her country. "Sir, I'm not sure I'm the right person to be anyone's poster child. I'm just a medic trying to do my job." Captain Mitchell leaned forward. "That's exactly why you are the right person. You didn't create drama or seek conflict. When conflict found you, you handled it professionally and then got back to work. That's the kind of leadership we need." Chen opened a folder and pulled out several documents. "Matthews has been transferred to a different unit pending investigation. 3 other personnel have come forward with complaints about his behavior toward female personnel. It appears this has been an ongoing problem." Maria was surprised, but not shocked. Matthews's behavior toward her had seemed practiced, like he had done it before. "The witnesses from your team," Harrison continued, "have all requested to remain with you for future assignments. Russo, Coleman, and Torres specifically asked to be considered for any missions where you're assigned as medical support." This news was more surprising than anything else Maria had heard. Military units were built on trust and mutual respect, but those bonds usually took months or years to develop. The fact that these elite warriors wanted to continue working with her after knowing her for only a few weeks spoke volumes about how they viewed her capabilities. "There's something else," Captain Mitchell said. "We're establishing a new program for integrating medical specialists into special operations teams. We want you to help develop the training protocols and standards. It would mean a promotion to Sergeant First Class and assignment to the Pentagon for 6 months. Maria's mind raced. The Pentagon assignment would be a huge career boost, but it would also take her away from field operations and direct patient care. "Ma'am, I appreciate the opportunity, but I need to think about whether that's the right path for me." Chen nodded approvingly. "Take your time, but understand that your actions here have already started changing things. 3 other bases have requested female combat medics for their special operations units. Your success has opened doors that were previously closed." Harrison stood up, indicating the meeting was coming to an end. "Rodriguez, you've got a week of leave coming up. I suggest you use it to think about what you want your future to look like. When you come back, we'll implement whatever decision you make." As they filed out of the office, Captain Mitchell stayed behind for a moment. "Maria, can I speak with you privately?" After the others left, Captain Mitchell's demeanor became more personal. "I know this is a lot to process. When I was coming up through the ranks, there weren't many examples of women succeeding in combat medicine at this level. You're helping to write the playbook for the next generation." Maria appreciated the mentorship, but she still felt uncertain. "Ma'am, what if I'm not ready for this kind of responsibility? What if I make a mistake that sets back opportunities for other women?" Captain Mitchell smiled. "You know what convinced me that you're ready. When Matthews was on the ground bleeding, your first instinct was to help him. Even after he attacked you, even knowing that other people were watching, you offered medical assistance to someone who had just tried to hurt you. That's not just professionalism, that's character." Later that evening, Maria sat in her quarters writing an email to her sister back in Texas. She tried to explain what had happened without making it sound more dramatic than it was. But even in her understated account, the significance was clear. "I'm not sure what comes next," she wrote, "but I know that what happened today wasn't just about me. Every woman who wants to serve in combat roles is going to be judged, in part, by how well I do my job. It's a big responsibility, but it's also an incredible opportunity." The next morning, Maria was surprised to find Russo, Coleman, and Torres waiting for her outside the mess hall. "We wanted to thank you," Russo said awkwardly. "Yesterday could have gone really badly for all of us if you had handled it differently." Coleman nodded. "Matthews was looking for a fight. If you had given him one, it would have validated everything he believed about women in combat roles. Instead, you made him look like an idiot and made the rest of us look like better soldiers for supporting you." Torres, typically more direct, got to the point. "We heard about the Pentagon assignment. If you take it, you'll be helping to train the next generation of integrated teams. But if you stay, you'll be helping to prove that the current generation can work together successfully. Either way, you've got our support." Maria was moved by their words, but she also recognized the deeper implication. These men understood that her success reflected on all of them. They had chosen to tie their professional reputations to hers, and that meant they believed in her abilities completely. 3 days later, Commander Harrison received Maria's written response to the Pentagon assignment offer. She had chosen to remain with the team for at least another year, with the understanding that she would help develop integration protocols while maintaining her primary role as a combat medic. "I believe I can be more effective leading by example in the field than by writing policies in Washington," she had written. "The best way to prove that integration works is to make it work, one mission at a time." 6 months later, Maria's team was deployed to a classified location in support of a high-priority special operations mission. When Petty Officer Coleman was seriously wounded during a firefight, Maria's quick thinking and expert medical care saved his life and earned her the Bronze Star with Valor. The citation read, in part, "Staff Sergeant Rodriguez's courage under fire and dedication to her teammates exemplifies the highest traditions of military service and demonstrates the value of diverse, integrated units in achieving mission success." Matthews, meanwhile, had been quietly reassigned to a desk job after the investigation revealed a pattern of harassment and unprofessional behavior. His military career effectively ended the day he decided to kick a fellow service member who was trying to save lives. The story of what happened in the kill house became part of the informal history of Naval Amphibious Base Coronado. It was told to new arrivals as an example of how professional soldiers should conduct themselves, regardless of their personal opinions about policy changes. Maria Rodriguez never sought fame or recognition for what she did that day. She simply did her job, defended herself when necessary, and then got back to work. But sometimes that's exactly the kind of leadership the military needs. Quiet professionalism that speaks louder than any speech or policy directive. Years later, when young women asked her about breaking barriers and facing discrimination, Maria would tell them the same thing. "Focus on being so good at your job that your gender becomes irrelevant. Let your actions speak for themselves. Treat everyone with respect, and never let someone else's prejudices determine your own behavior." The incident in the kill house lasted less than 30 seconds, but its impact continues to influence military integration policies and training protocols throughout the special operations community. It proved that diversity strengthens military units when it's based on merit, mutual respect, and shared commitment to mission success. Most importantly, it demonstrated that the best response to prejudice is not anger or confrontation, but excellence in performance and unwavering professionalism, even under the most challenging circumstances.